Next, let's create that football animation. We've got some of our work done for us, at least the setup work. Our football is already a movie clip, so it's ready to be made into a motion tween. It's in a layer by itself. Let's just do that with a right click this time. We can right click on any of the objects or the items in the layer panel and just choose Create Motion Tween right here. Now, of course, if you don't have a right click, you can just hold down the Control key while you click, and you'll find this is a fast and easy way to set up a motion tween. If I click away from everything, you can see that my motion tween is already set up and that whole top layer is now blue. Now I'd like my football to start off screen, and my playhead's already at the first frame, so we can just grab the football and drag it over here a little bit. And then of course I'm going to set up the other end of the animation. I'll just move the playhead down here. You can see that it ends about at frame 100. And I'll just grab the football at that point and pull it off on the other end. In our last chapter, we learned that we can reshape that motion path just like our vector paths. So let me just click away from everything, and I'll move my cursor down near the path. We can see that my arc cursor comes up, and I can just click and push, and I can make that into a nice arced path that just sails right in there through the goalposts. I can edit the end and pull it down just a little bit, give it a little more arc. And lastly, I want it to look like it's going downfield. So we're just going to take the football and make it appear smaller so that it looks like it's going back into the distance. I'll just grab my free transform tool up here at the top. And when I click on the football, we've got our normal handles. And I'm just going to hold the shift key down to make sure I get a nice, even, universal scale down to a smaller version of the football. Now, of course, we have our original scale setting back at the other end of our tween. So if I back this up just a little bit so that we can preview, I can drag the playhead around and you can see that the football does get bigger as it moves back towards the beginning of the animation. Now, we do have a little bit of a problem right here at the end because, as you can see, the football is in front of the goal post. Now, this is another one of those situations where we want it to look like it's going through the posts. So let's do what we did last time. I'm going to make a copy of the goal post. Notice we only need this stick right here. We don't need any of the other portions. Now let me switch to my normal selection tool first, and I'll just select the goal posts, and I'll just use a normal copy command out of the edit menu. That copies the artwork out of the keyframe, and we can just go and put another layer up here for the second post. Let me put it above the football. I'll create a new layer, and I'll just put this as front post. And of course, if we click on that keyframe, I want to paste in what we copied, and I'll use paste in place. Now we have a duplicate goalpost there. And just to make sure we can see what we're working on, I'm going to hide the old goalposts. Now, as I said before, we only need the front post here on the left-hand side. And since this is a movie clip, if I go and change the movie clip, I'll be changing the other post as well. So I'm going to use another command here. And this is a command that will allow you to get at the insides of any movie clip. With my goalpost selected, the second copy, I'm going to go up to the Modify menu, and I'm going to choose Break Apart. Now, this command does exactly what it sounds like. It's going to break apart my movie clip and leave me with all the pieces inside of it. So let's just click and see what we've got. Outside the movie clip, we lose any scaling on the lines that make up the posts. So they will get a bit thicker, but that's okay since we're trying to make the left post look like it's in the front of our scene. When we edited the goalpost before, we saw these same groups inside. Now I don't need the bottom pieces, so I can just click on those groups and simply hit delete to get rid of them. I'll do that for both of those pieces. And for the last piece, I'm going to break it apart. Now I could just use ungroup, but you can see exactly how break apart works. It simply gives you whatever's inside the item you have selected. So if I break this apart, I should be left with just the vector lines that we started with. Now once again, I want to get rid of the other two, so I'm just going to click away from everything, and I'll single click on each one of these lines and just simply delete them as well. Now let me bring my old uprights back. You can see that that new post is in exactly the same position. And you know what? I'm even going to change that new post by pulling this line up a little bit so we can match the height of the other post. And that way it looks a little bit better. The neat thing though is we now have that front post in our topmost layer. And if I preview my animation, when we get to the point where it's going through the posts, we should see that the football now flies behind the new post we set up. Now it's looking pretty good, but I've got one more tweak that we can do to our football animation. Let me just back up my playhead here a little bit so I can see a little bit more of the tween. And what I'm talking about now is the angle of the football as it flies through. It's basically kind of flying flat. A more realistic path would have the football actually following the arc of the path and rotating as it goes through. Well, we can do this pretty easily. Now, of course, we could do this by setting up rotation keyframes right directly into our timeline. But we remember that our football is flying along a path. Let me just select our football here, and we can see that arc path we created before. If we select the motion tween up in the timeline, we've seen before that we get motion tween properties. And one of those properties handled rotation for us. Well, now what I want to do is just go down a little bit further to this checkbox, Orient to Path. Now, this is pretty neat, especially when we have a path that's bending like ours. I'm just going to turn this on for the tween. Now you'll notice the program creates keyframes all the way along the tween. But what's really nice is when I preview the motion now, as the football flies up and through the uprights, it's actually turning to match the angle of the path. Now this is a really easy way to have the path determine the rotation of the object. If you wanted a little top view of an airplane buzzing around or a car driving along streets, you could get the car to turn exactly just by setting the path in the right direction. Now the angle is set by the starting angle at the very beginning of the animation. So I'm going to back this all the way up to frame 1, and I'm just going to use my transform tool here on the football and make sure that the end of the football is actually pointing kind of along the path. Now just angling up just a little bit, and you can see the end of the football kind of meeting with the path, and let's preview that. Now my football is sailing directly along that line, and it follows it as the line turns.